Everybody, thanks for joining us for our second presentation today, Not Feeling Ready for the Infor Cloud. What are your options? As a team, JK Seva is driven to transform business processes. We focus on software solutions to meet your organization's HR, payroll, financial, supply chain, and workforce management needs. And we've been a Lawson partner since 1996. And my name is Emily Fisk. I'm the Talent Acquisition and Relationship Manager here at JK Seva, and I am based out of Chicago. Todd will be leading us through this presentation in just a minute. He will be one of our presenters today. He directs our Infor Lawson technical team and is an expert at understanding the individual needs of our clients, analyzing challenging technical issues, and how current technology fits in with Lawson's market direction. He's also a former technical trainer, Infor technical trainer. And Beth Wallace is our other presenter for today. She's our Director of Business Development. She's been with JK Seva for 2 years now and is also a former Infor employee. She's helped businesses streamline their systems to maximize efficiencies and leverage their employees with Infor Lawson for over 25 years. And before we begin, just know you're able to submit questions at any time in the chat. You can direct message us or any of us, or just do it in the general chat section. We'll be answering all the questions in our live Q&A at the end. If you need to hop off this presentation but are still interested in it, it is being recorded and it will be available on our website, jkseva.com. And I do want to announce we'll have a prize today for our attendees. The person that is the most engaged during this presentation will be receiving a gift card. And just to go over the agenda real quick, welcome again. We'll be going over terminology, attempts to moving to the cloud and how people did it, and how we can help, and options on how to do it. And again, we will have our Q&A at the end. And without further ado, let's get started. And I'll pass this on over to Todd.
Great, Emily. Thank you so much. And hold on. I forgot to take a drink of water. So this is our second session for today. And if you don't know me, if you haven't met me before, you saw a picture of me earlier. That's actually sort of what I look like. I told people before my last session with the COVID pandemic going on, I've kind of let things go. My hair is kind of wild, crazy, and I've got a nice beard and goatee. And so I'm not going to share that with you right now. I don't want to scare anyone away. I am looking forward to meeting some of you in person. Some of you that are on the call, I actually know, and appreciate you so much for coming here. Again, good day, welcome. I'm going to give a little self-introduction, and I've already said this. I've been around the Lawson Infor world for 24 years now, and technical. I'm 100% technical. I get a little bit of the application side because I have to, but mostly I'm a technical nerdy guy. In fact, I'll make a few comments through some of the slides that only the technical nerdy people will get. This session, and every time I start a big group meeting, whether it's on stage, whether it's something like this, which is you're not really here, I can't see any of you. So this is more like a recording where I think people are listening. I hope people are listening. And so I'm just going to talk through as though you're totally attentive. And as Emily said, for those who are putting questions in, will know you're attentive. And there are prizes that Bill Mitchell, our president, is planning on giving out. And so to give this disclaimer, I like to give every single time is I'm CEO of JK Seva, and I'm not here to represent JK Seva. Even though I'm the CEO and I do so much stuff here, that's not why I'm here. JK Seva is also a partner of Infor and have been for 24 years now, but we're not going to talk about that either. And I'm not here to represent Infor. and this is where it gets a little tricky. I'm here for you, the users. I'm here to tell you the facts, the hard truths. Myself and Beth, as she'll get into this here, we've been around this for a long time. The cloud, as it came into being with the Infor Lawson world, we were right on the forefront of that, knowing what's happening, and we've heard the good, the bad, the ugly, the excited, the depressed. We've heard it all. And so it's what is that? One of the insurance commercials. I'm not going to say a name because I'm not promoting any of them, but they said we know it all because we've seen it all, or something like that. So we've seen a lot of stuff, and we're happy to share that with you. But some of the things we're going to say are going to be controversial. Anticipating potentially getting a slap from Infor, maybe even get a slap from other people at JK Seva with some of the things I'm going to say. And so we're going to just give you the truth, the honest facts. This is a user group meeting. This is not a Lawson meeting. This is not an Infor meeting. It's not a JK Seva meeting. This is for you, the users. And that's what you're going to get. Before I jump forward into the next slide, I'm going to let you know it's going to be both myself and Beth Wallace. Beth Wallace is our Director of Business Development. She's our salesperson. She deals with all of the contracts, the licensing, the direct contact with Infor when we're doing pricing on everything. She knows the products that are available and how they're used and why they're used and when they're used. And it's awesome that she is not technical. So as she gets into some of the stuff that's technically related, she's going to pass it back to me, I hope. Otherwise, she's going to struggle through it and then pass it off to me. And nothing against Beth at all. She's amazing. And she knows so much stuff that I haven't even a clue about. So it's going to be a lot of fun here with this. So I'm going to do my best not to offend anyone, but you never know what's going to happen. So moving to the next slide, I'm going to talk through some terminology. And so some of the terms that we have to work out here is really just making sure that we're all on the same page. And giving me just a second here to pull up that proper slide that I had that I wanted to go over. So hold please, I'm actually on a different screen. I was presenting and I didn't want that on my screen. So technical difficulties for the technical guy, please hold. And almost there. My notes are on a different screen. I would ask Beth to interject here, but I don't really want her to jump in quite yet. And here we go. So first of all, I want to talk about the first term that is called the cloud. And so what is actually the cloud when we're going to mention the cloud? And so we're going to be referring to the cloud as the Infor Cloud, and this is the software as a service presented by Infor. And this is not anything outside of that. There are other vendors that do the same. You can have the the smaller accounting packages like the QuickBooks Online. That is a SaaS product. One of the products that's tied in with the Infor products for BSI Tax Factory, which there are a few sessions on, they have a SaaS version of it, and so that is in their cloud. The cloud we mentioned here is Infor's cloud, and so that is their cloud solution for presenting their products as a service. Now, a few years back, Infor decided to start rebranding their products, calling them Cloud Suite. That does not mean that it is required to be in a cloud. That is the name of the product. When you talk about Cloud Suite Financials, Cloud Suite HCM, any of the products that have the name Cloud Suite in them, that doesn't mean it is required to be in the cloud. It's just a name. It's a cool name and it's trademarked by Infor, but it's just a name, right? Want to make sure that's clear. Now going back to the Infor Cloud itself, there are multiple versions of that, multiple flavors of it. So you've got your single tenant and you've got your multi-tenant. So you've heard these terms all bouncing around. The multi-tenant means there are multiple clients accessing the same software at the same time on the same hardware. And so that's a way to spread out the cost a little bit of the hardware and of pushing it all out. It presents its own struggles from time to time, as we'll get into. But then you jump over to the single tenant, which costs quite a bit more. You've got your own dedicated everything in the software as a service, the Infor Cloud. It's yours. You've got your own server. You've got your own applications. Nobody else is sharing it with you. And so a lot of different things can happen security-wise with that, with firewalls, with opening up ports, closing them down, stuff like that, differently than will happen with multi-tenant. And then you have the hybrid. So both of these, in some cases, need to work together in order to tie applications that are on-prem with the applications that are in the cloud. And so they've been over the years as they found out that certain things don't work quite as well as they'd like them to. In the multi-tenant, they had to then pull in some single tenant elements of that in order to create this hybrid to properly talk to all of the different places in the interweb, I'll call it, that need to be talked to, including your internal networks and their network, and it's just really tricky to make sure everything's secure. So the next, actually I already mentioned on-prem, these are in different order. So we talked about on-prem or on-premises, and so what this means is that you're in control of the product that you purchased from Infor. So whether this on-prem solution is actually a piece of hardware sitting in your data center, sitting in the corner of the CIO's office or whatever it's running on, whether it's in Amazon Web Services on a cloud type server, whether it's Google, Azure, whether it's hosted by a third party. So whether sitting on for example, we're a hosting provider. We have servers in 2 different data centers in the country, and we own the hardware, we manage it, we take care of all of the security pieces of that, with the firewalls, with everything, and we have a place where the Infor Lawson products can sit and run, and this is a hosted environment. All right. I'm sorry, I'm not jumping to that yet. This is an on-prem type product, but on a server that may not be actually in the data center, actually sitting in the office of the owner of the software. So that being said, jumping through to hosted. Infor actually hosts software for people. They actually have a hosting service where you can actually, instead of a software as a service, a cloud type thing, they can actually host your system there on premises with them, where the hardware is sitting with them, or they're managing that piece of it. There are other third-party hosts like Velocity. I'll mention them. We do this service with JK Seva. Some of these vendors actually do a software as a service where they're licensing the product to you. We're not doing that. We just happen to be one that can do the managed services and the hosting. That being said, the hosting of your on-prem owned software can also be a hybrid solution with the Infor Cloud. So you can have stuff on-prem or hosted, which the on-prem and the hosted, and if you've got a perpetual license that is a license owned by you, you can also have a SaaS subscription with the Infor Cloud, and those can talk to each other. And I'm going to try to make this very fast because I'm going to take up all of Beth's time if I don't. And then you run into one of the other pieces is managed services. So as we learned with the COVID pandemic that hit us back in the beginning of the year, everyone went home. Offices were empty in most cases, and so how do you actually run everything? You had to figure out how to do it from remote, and some companies had to be laying people off, and they had to figure out how do we actually run our Lawson and Infor systems if we don't have any people. And so we provide the managed services. There are other companies that provide managed services. And those are managed services of both the hardware, the operating system, the software, in some cases in working even with the Infor Cloud, where we're managing how that interaction is happening. So there are many aspects of managed services. Please talk to us about this. This is a huge thing that's happening right now, and we're doing a lot of managed services. And again, exciting times. Finally, I'm going to talk about licensing. So Beth's going to get more to this because I really don't have much of a clue, except the notes I put here that Beth gave me. So a perpetual license, as it's called, is one where you bought the software from Infor or Lawson, however long ago it was. I don't think it was ever called something before Lawson, but maybe 20 years ago you bought a license, and you've been paying an annual maintenance for that license since you purchased it. And that has been upgraded from version 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 to 10, and now going in through to 11. And so that's your license that you're paying a maintenance fee on for the product that you're using, that Lawson created, that Infor created, that Infor purchased, or Lawson purchased from someone. And now it's a perpetual license that just goes on and on as long as you decide to keep your maintenance up. The other side of it, and again, Beth is going to get more into this, is your software as a service license, or I'll call it that. It's the Infor Cloud subscription. You pay a startup fee. Here's how we get everything going. And then you pay a monthly subscription fee to use that software. And so all of that being said, I've used up almost all of Beth's time. And please, if you're entering questions, I haven't seen any of them, type them in because I'm talking fast. I hope you're listening fast. I learned in my last session that I ran out of time. So I want to make sure we got plenty of time for this. How does that sound? Beth, can I pass it over to you?
Sure, Todd. Thanks so much. Well, just kind of segueing a little bit into more what I'm going to be talking about, I just wanted to mention to you that the way I look at these licenses is you're leasing. If you're doing SaaS, if you're on the Infor Cloud, it's a leasing situation. And if you have a perpetual, you own. So you can do whatever you want with your software, and you pay one time. And because you have your annual maintenance, you get all your updates. But if there's a new release that comes out, you don't pay for that software because you own it forever in perpetuity. So if you want to take your version 10 and go to version 11, but you just don't want to run it in the Infor Cloud, you can do that. You can run it in the Infor Cloud. But when you do go to the Infor Cloud, it's software as a service, and then you become a leasing customer, if you will. Also, one of the first steps of defining your organization's journey to the cloud is really taking a look at what applications that you currently have, what your current Infor application footprint is, and which applications are available in the cloud. Everybody's different. There are, everybody knows the new payroll is going to be on the Infor Cloud, but there is the other applications that have been out a while, that workforce management, you've got EAM, financials, all the different components. You need to check on your applications to see if they are all available in the cloud. That's your first step. And to also get any type of pricing for cloud from your Infor account executive, and they can give you that information, and you can ask them, what about the payroll? Can we do yes, you had to be version 11. How many are live on the cloud? You can get all those questions answered, because what we're trying to, convey in this discussion is that you can control what you want. You don't have to be 100% cloud if you don't want to. You can do a hybrid solution. So, but it all starts with the Infor account executive to get the facts, and then you can further, question what they have. Okay, so in the past, we have heard, and again, as Todd said, I am not technical at all. So if any of you are technical, you have to just understand my whole point of view is from the sales side, and what customers have told me all along about, what's out there, what's new, what's coming up down the roadmap. So we had a lot of early adapters to the Infor Cloud. That came with some challenges. Infor jumped in to meet the demands of their customers. And they did that without some common standards. There were COBOL challenges early on. There were performance degradation issues early on. There were, the uptime, in the service level agreements, customers wanted, 100% uptime, right? Because everybody was so used to saying, hey, we're down, all hands on deck, You just walk to the other room and told them, well, if you go down and you're on the cloud, you are, vulnerable to when they're going to get you back up. So, but that's all changed and has evolved, and these issues have been resolved over time. And the SLA for the uptime is 99.7% now, and that's what they're putting in their SLAs. And that just blows my mind, because I remember when it was in the lower 90s, and that wasn't acceptable for a lot of clients. So a lot of the, I want to say, fears and roadblocks for people making these decisions early on are going away. Again, one of the roadblocks in the past has been the cost, both the cost to maintain the system on a subscription cost, because you've already invested in your perpetual license. So that has been, an ongoing issue. People have to evaluate that based on what you own, what applications you own. The re-implementation costs have also been an issue, because people are used to just upgrading and they're not used to seeing such big numbers. A re-implementation, it seems a little bit overwhelming. So people have had to plan, years in advance to be able to afford to do a re-implementation. So what we always tell people is to take a look at what is your total cost of ownership on your existing system. What it costs you for the hardware, what it costs you for the software, what it costs you for your support. Do you have a third-party hosting partner that you're paying, a Velocity or an Infor or even JK Seva that you're running your current version on? What's your annual maintenance? Do you have any third parties doing your managed services? How many people do you have supporting your system internally? And more importantly, what are they doing? And would they be available when you're doing a re-implementation? Because if they get really heavily involved in your re-implementation, then that's going to defray some of the cost of working with your partner. And then there's the ongoing cost to train your technical support. So they know all the latest and greatest, and what's the latest in security, and all the new Infor tools. And I'm sure you all have heard all about the new stuff that's been coming out and want to learn all about it. And again, if there's anybody that wants to know anything about that, I'm going to defer to Todd, because I know there's other costs to maintaining the system that are a little more technical for me to explain. So Todd, do you have anything to add there on just other costs for owning their system and maintaining it?
Beth, that's a good question, because as we've seen over the last several years. In fact, when I first started in the computer industry, and I don't know if I should say, but 1980, 85 or so, people were actually looking that direction way back then to how do we outsource certain things. And so, of course, it became more prevalent in the late 90s and into the early 2000s. But looking at how do you manage costs, and they're still looking at it now. Jumping into having the hardware that you're having to maintain on site, or having pushing out to Azure or AWS or Google or some other provider. So you just really have to figure out what's going to be best for you as an organization. And the technology standpoint, you've got hardware that is constantly spinning and crashing and things happening, and you've got to deal with that. And so that's a real thing. That's a real reality. And so having stuff off where someone else is responsible for it, not a bad thought, as long as you've got the right agreements in place for it. But then having stuff in-house is not a bad thing either. Some government agencies, a lot of public sector, they're required to have it, hold on to their own hardware. They can't have it somewhere else. And so there's a lot of things you have to think through with that.
Okay, thanks, Todd. Well, our point here, and I'm looking at the time, and I was told that these sessions fly by, and it looks like we have about 14 minutes left. So I'm going to try to speed up, like Speedy Gonzalez here, to just get through some of my a couple talking points, and then I think we better turn it over to our Q&A section. Q&A time, so that we can get, I think a lot of questions are probably going to be coming around on the technical side, so we're going to need Todd here. But again, if we don't get to your question, we could always, respond back to you in an email. So, all right. Well, basically one of the things we're trying to convey again is that we feel that all customers will not be managed and housed, will not be managing and housing their own software in the future. It's just, what is that combination that's going to work for you? In the past, one of the showstoppers was losing control. They don't, customers didn't want to be told what their monthly, what their downtime was going to be during the month. When they're doing micro updates, or limited time for them to do their testing after these upgrades are done, kind of losing their technical expertise if they're not using it every day, if they're turning it over to the cloud. But what we have found repeatedly is anyone that is in the situation where they're going to the cloud, those resources will always be needed, because just because you go to the Infor Cloud doesn't mean that you don't need help desk support, doesn't mean that you don't need help on the testing and security and issue resolution with Infor. Those things will continue. And then the big piece is you're freeing those resources up to be reallocated to work on more value-added projects, like working on your BI plan that you've probably been thinking about for the last 2 years, but you living with the day-to-day, you never have time to get to it. Those are all the real plus sizes, plus side of going to the cloud, and customers really love that they have time to explore some of the new, more interesting projects, and they can knock them off their list. One of the big ones in the past.
This is Todd. Let me interrupt politely for a
Okay.
second. I just want to comment that Lori Capistran made. One of my favorite people at Infor, Lori. Love to
Hey,
see
Lori.
her here, but she said, please don't get rid of your techies. Don't get rid of them. You need them. You
Exactly.
can't. You need to have people that are going to take care of the stuff, cloud or not cloud, hosted, whatever it is. You got to keep that going.
Exactly.
So, and let me know if I need to move slides around too, Beth. I don't know when you want me to move forward and back. I didn't ask you those things, so go for it.
Well, I'm moving everything around anyway, because I really trying to get done here with less than 5 minutes, so we have time for questions. Okay, customizations. Again, that was a roadblock. There is best practices embedded in the Infor Cloud product. You probably implemented 10 years, 15, 20 years ago. They did what they knew best at that time. It's a high probability those customizations can be re-engineered using the existing functionality. You just need a consultant that understands the business side and can talk to you about what you're trying to accomplish, and you can get through those. I haven't run into anything that is that unique and different. I know we all think we are, but you can change your processes and utilize all that great functionalities that's there, and you'll probably have no need for a customization. Or your Infor AE can tell you it's going to come out in the next release, because if you were having that issue, somebody else is having that issue. Another one of the roadblocks was just you've invested in your infrastructure. Well, that doesn't always, they have an end of life too. So then you're going to be talking about spending more money on those new servers. That all continues to go away. Todd, is there anything else there on the infrastructure that they have to invest in that is a repeatable, reoccurring cost that after their initial investment they expires and then they have to put? Is there anything else you need to add there that could be costly?
For the sake of time right now, I'm not gonna try to get into that because it is
Okay.
across the board. It really depends on the client. And if you're going, hybrid, part on-prem, part in the cloud, you're doing solutions like that, you really need to invest in the right kind of stuff. Don't you just talk to whoever you're working with, us preferably, throw that out there, but whoever it is that you're talking to, make sure that you're asking the questions. How are we going to connect to everything, and what's the best way to do it? Because we've seen mistakes across the board on making those wrong decisions, and so yeah, definitely think it through.
Okay, and I think we're going to just skip this slide. There are many, many, many clients, and I don't have the number of what percentage that are successfully on the Infor Cloud. We can get specific with you. If you'd like to send us an email, we'll get back to you or put it in the chat, and we'll follow up with you and get you specific information. I mean, everybody has their own journey. Some people go ahead and prepare for a year or two and get all their reports rewritten, or I call them retrofitted because they're going to the cloud, because they're usually pretty quick, identifying all new functionality they need to take advantage of, and they think about these things and they get those things knocked out, for 6 months to a year, and they go ahead and they switch and they start re-implementing, and they're very happy. I mean, like I said, the old things are kind of gone above the wayside now. But if you still don't want to go to the cloud, again, you can talk to us. We can try to help you, go through it. If there's some reasons why you can't, we'll be happy to help you. It may be because you heard your contract management isn't available in the cloud, or your budgeting, whatever it is. We can call up, we can find out who's done what and what's the environment, what was the the mix on your applications that you own. Because when you hear things don't work, it might be because of 5 other things they have. And in my mind, I always say it's their technology baggage from before, and I never know exactly what it is because I have to get to someone like Todd. But there is a way to figure out your solution, and whatever that is for you, we'd love to talk to you about it and help you figure out your timing and your roadmap. And let's turn around for the questions. So Emily, what do we have on our questions here?
Wait a second, Beth. Another
Yes.
quick thing we have.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump forward to another slide.
Okay.
And the questions, and we want to make sure I don't leave out Charles' question because it is a good one.
Okay.
One of the better ones that we've heard. And so let's just talk real quick about what options do you have? And so I think I don't know if Beth, you want to cover this a little bit, or if I want to jump into it. Tell me.
Sure. Yeah, so you have options where you can keep your existing system on-prem and upgrade it to version 11 and run it on-prem. You can run it at a third-party provider. You could pull everything over to the cloud or phase it in. Maybe you'll put your financials and supply chain on the cloud, this year, and then the next year move over your HR, payroll. Whatever works for you. You can have certain applications on-prem and some on the cloud. It doesn't have to be 100% all at once. So those are the things that there's so many options for you. But again, you really need to talk about what applications you have and figure out the dollars and cents and the business sense, so that you could be innovative in your approach. And we, like I said, we'd love to help you with that. And you just let us know what your reasons are for why you want to stay and not go to the cloud right now, and we'll try to help you figure out what's the best solution. Is there anything that you want to add there, Todd?
I do. Thank you, Beth. The options that you have, and this is going to play into a few of the questions that will be popping up. I see a couple there, and we're going to answer a couple questions now. In fact, I'm going to tie this into what Charles asked here about. What about your custom programs? the custom COBOL programs you may have sitting on your S3 system. Maybe you've got some Perl that's written to do some stuff. If you're on a Windows server, you've got some batch script or some shell scripts that are running. What do you have customizations that aren't there for you? You can't use them, and so that is an amazing question, really, because it's what's keeping people from going in some cases. And so what we're finding out, and if you didn't see our session earlier on InforOS, please grab a copy of that or look at it somehow. Go to our website, jkseva.com, when it's available, and check that out. Or just give us a call, because with the InforOS and that product, there are so many things that are thrown into that product, again, depending on your licensing, but gives you that ability to do some of those things that you normally would have customized, to do it outside of the application, and use some tools like Ion, like IPA, which, there's the controversy of what's going to replace what at one time. So that's a completely different conversation. And then, Mongoose, and some other tools out there, and even just getting into some of the program that's available from a configuration standpoint. And this is not you going in and customizing the program. This is using tools that were given to you to make best use of the product that's in the background. And so you're using the data, you're using the business logic, you're using everything that's already built into the application through new tools that are actually really cool tools, to be able to do some of the stuff that you typically had to customize for. And so, again, we're getting rid of that word customization. Everyone hates that. Hey, we customize our products, so we can't do anything else forever. But that's not the case here. You can actually take what is out of the box, sitting out there for the most part. And we have some stories where that hasn't been the case, but for the most part, you can take what's out of the box and use the tools given to you, and write those reports, write those programs, do that. Some of the processes that happen when data is entered, and then it needs to be massaged or migrated to some other areas where you've written custom programs for it. And all of that can be done within the framework provided for you, whether it's in the cloud, whether it's on-prem. There's no real distinction there. You'll hear things where you can only do it in the cloud, or you don't have access to this on-prem. For example, the Burst product. So you'll hear that that's a cloud-only product, but that is actually available as what they call an appliance that can be installed locally. I think it's a huge deal. To do that, there's some maybe hurdles, and maybe they've changed that since I started working with Karn on this thing years ago. Haven't done it lately, but all of the stuff, and again, Charles mentioned here about generating bank files. All of that stuff can be done through processes that are built into the product, moving forward to version, to the latest version 10 stuff, and then into the 11 products. And again, Beth, as you had mentioned already, jumping forward to that hybrid solution.
Yeah, we have 1 minute left, Todd. I don't know if they kick us off or what they do, but yeah, we have 1 minute.
We only I thought we had 11 minutes. We only have 1 minute.
Oh, I thought we were done at 4:20. Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah. Oh, that's why you finished so quick.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Sometimes people want to jump in there and look at that and confirm. Maybe Emily, you can confirm that, because I can just keep on talking. And so I will try to clear this up. We don't have less people on here yet, so they're not all running to the next thing. And so 50, yeah, we had 40 minutes, so we got until 30 minutes after. And so having an on-prem and a cloud solution here would allow you to migrate data from one to the other using the processes that are all in place. Some of them are already canned, and some of those are out of the box. They already have that available for you. And some of them you can just design yourself as going forward, or have an awesome consulting firm like JK Seva do it for you. And so you have options, is what I'm saying. That's the main thing.
Todd, this is to end at 4:20.
Oh, we just lost it then, huh? Well, we got a couple more minutes. I'm going to clear this up. One other question is if we can keep people around for a few minutes more. Thank you, Emily, for that. Is I'm just going to read the question instead of have Emily read that question. And while that question is being read and answered by me, I'm going to leave this screen up here so you guys can write down some information. Thank you, Beth, and for keeping me on track, and Emily for confirming that I should stay on track. And so actually, I already answered that question there. If you have a hybrid, you have some on-prem and some off-prem. How do you, what's the recommendation? Definitely, Beth addressed that. Make your own plan. Design that plan to move to the cloud how you want to. Design the plan to not move to the cloud. Right now, if you're really uncomfortable with it, do what you need to do to make your organization run. Is what I'm going to say. And then Sarah mentioned about payroll and GHR. So she said that question came up. As it stands right now, your payroll is on-prem, even if you went to GHR in the cloud. And so that is already happening. We've done that in the past. That interface already exists. And as people start going live with payroll version 11, that will be a moot point. It'll just go away. As we get more and more people moving over to payroll in version 11. So since I just kind of went over a little bit, right? Do we want to just wrap this up here and clap our hands and say we're done?
It looks like, that we're a couple minutes over, Todd. Yes, well, Emily, let's go ahead and close. And then I think everybody has our contact information if they'd like to have some more time with one-on-one to dive a little bit deeper.
Absolutely.
We'd really like that. So thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all for joining us today, and thank you, Beth and Todd. That was awesome. If you guys need to get a hold of us, we will be at our booth for the rest of the day. And if you have any further questions, feel free to email Beth at bwallace@jkseva.com. And both of our recordings today will soon be available on our website at
All right. And as I put there in the chat, I'm heading over to the booth. If anyone wants to ask direct questions over there, I'll be hanging out over there for a while. Thank you, everyone.
Great. Thank you, everyone. We'll hopefully see you over at the booth.
Hey, Beth, I'm still in here in the presentation. I'm going to leave the screen up just so people can see it. And I'm available to just answer some questions even right here before I jump over to the booth, since I'm leaving up for about 5 minutes.
Okay. I was just going to head over, but absolutely, go ahead.
If you want to go ahead and head on over there, that's great. They're going to probably kick me out of here pretty soon. They say, Todd, you're still in the room. You need to leave. So I've been kicked out of rooms before. I don't mind.
All right. Well, I'm going to sign out and I'll go over to our booth. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Beth. I'll hang out here and watch the chat window and answer things. There's a couple of people left here, and that's about it. So, and again, I think I'm going to get kicked out. Charles, I think you get a prize for asking the most questions. I see you still in here. Rain, good to see you again. I see you here. I don't know if you're listening to me. You can probably chat with me in here if you'd like. I see Alexandra in here. I think, Alex, you may know Beth. I'm not even sure. All right, I'm shutting down this screen here. I'm leaving, so get in touch. If you don't have it written down or memorized, it's going away. Talk to you later.